Hi, everyone. Welcome to the seventh episode of Soulful Branding Live with Lulu. I can't believe we're already on number seven. I hope you've been enjoying the videos. Please do let me know in the comments and let me know if there are any particular aspects of branding or marketing that you'd like me to cover. I'm really interested in all of this stuff, and so I love to share what I learn and yeah, tips and tools that have been useful for me in my experience working on branding. So today's episode is about finding your purpose. So it's one of those topics, those big topics that are so important, and often it's just that we don't make enough time to really think about this or to think about how we articulate it. Sometimes we have a sense of what ours is, but being able to articulate it to ourselves and to others can be such a valuable thing. And especially if you're working on your branding, it's so important to be clear on this. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. So this past weekend, I attended one of the most beautiful and fun weddings I've ever been to. One of my closest and oldest friends was getting married, and I had the opportunity to catch up with some old friends and acquaintances and to make new ones too. So there were a lot of interesting conversations that were had over the weekend, and this one about purpose came up quite a bit. It was often in the context of talking about what we do professionally, and me being the troublemaker that I am, prodding into why people do what they do and do they enjoy what they do. And so this question of the why, for some people, they admitted that they hadn't thought much about it, about why they were doing what they were doing beyond making a living, making money, etc. And some were curious as to how you even go about discovering what your purpose is. Good question, I thought, and an ideal topic for an episode of Soulful Branding Live with Lulu. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, in case this is your first episode, I'd like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Lulu Kitololo. I'm an artist, designer, brand consultant, festival organizer, and I also co-run a network for women in business. So I truly believe that creativity can change the world, and I'm passionate about inspiring people to harness theirs in building the businesses and designing the lives that make their hearts sing. So in 2017, I launched the Soulful Branding Challenge, which is an online course designed to help people find their voice, find their tribe, and deliver to them that special magic that only they can. Since then, I see soulful branding in play in many areas of business and life, as you can see in conversations had at a wedding. So this series really exists to explore some of those situations and the soulful branding aspect of them. So purpose can be defined as the reason for which something is done or created, or the reason for which something exists. So from a soulful branding lens, your purpose in life very much influences your professional purpose. So whether you're thinking about your personal branding, maybe you're employed and not interested in running a business, but increasingly your personal branding becomes more and more important in terms of the trajectory of your career and the opportunities that you will get to experience. But obviously, your purpose in life also influences your professional purpose in terms of your business branding. So the reason behind what you do as a business and what you stand for as a business, also referred to as your why, is ideally what you want to get across. This, I believe, is what people will resonate with. More and more, we as consumers want to know about what we're buying into. We care about having shared values with the businesses that we patronize. So your why is what will also help people choose you when they're presented with other similar options. So I believe your unique perspective and how you do things and how you deliver is often tied to or driven by your purpose, even if it's on an unconscious level. And your why is what will help you rise above competing on price. When people like your product or service, and in addition to that, they resonate with your purpose, cost becomes less and less of an issue. You know, if they were price sensitive before, they find justifications as to why it makes sense to go with you, even though you might not be the cheapest. So how do we find this sometimes elusive purpose thing? Today, I wanted to share some lines of inquiry that have really helped me to figure out and refine what my purpose is, things that have helped me to clarify what my why is. And, you know, I think sometimes this is just, well, no, this is an ongoing process. You know, we grow, we evolve, we change. What we might kind of clarify today in a few years might change, you know, and that's okay. And so these lines of inquiry are things that you can revisit again and again to just check in with your purpose, check in with why you're doing what you're doing, and how that feels. Does it feel right? So these lines of inquiry have helped me figure out my purpose as an individual first. And this has naturally informed the purpose behind what I do professionally and with my businesses. So Beth Kirby is somebody I follow on Instagram initially, who I felt really described what your why is quite well. So she suggests that it is the thing that at your core inspires you. It's your reason for getting up every day, personally and professionally. It's what fires you up and excites you. What you could spend hours doing and time just disappears. It's the place where your values, passions, talents, and skills intersect to bring value to the lives of others. So another resource that was very useful for me is a book that I actually read quite recently. It's a workbook of sorts called The Life Plan by Shanna Kennedy. You guys will have heard me talk about it before. But it has some great questions to inspire the kind of soul searching that results in the answers that help you point towards your purpose. So the following lines of inquiry I want to share with you are inspired by both of these resources, and I highly recommend you checking out those resources too. The notes to this video have the links, so check them out. So the questions, so the first one, what's most important to you? So this could be people, things, ideas. Just think about what's most important to you. And I think with a lot of these questions, it's the kinds of questions which are so easy to overthink. So I almost recommend you kind of just brain dump at first. And indeed, if you're somebody who already practices journaling, you might want to journal about each of these questions where you're just kind of in a zone of stream of consciousness and you're letting all the thoughts and ideas just come out onto the paper. You know, you're going to look at them again. This is just about getting these gut reactions and instincts out, and then you'll process them. So don't overthink them. So what's most important to you? Then the next question is, what inspires you? And again, this can be things, people, ideas, places, you name it. Just jot down all of the things that inspire you. And the next one is, what makes you feel alive? And maybe just think back to the last few moments where you felt truly alive. What made you feel that way? And the next question is, what comes naturally to you? You know, some of us have skills or quote unquote talents, which are second nature to us, to the point where we don't even think anything of them, or we don't think they're necessarily special. But maybe people have remarked on these traits before. Maybe they've said, oh, you're so organized, or you're so this and that. And you haven't paid it a second thought because it's just natural for you. Maybe think back to your childhood and the things that people always used to notice that you did easily or quickly. What comes naturally to you? And then think about, what do you love to do? And again, there are no limits to your responses. Just think about all the things you love to do. And then my next question is, think of times when you felt totally in flow. You've been in a zone, things have just been moving, you've been so content, you felt so satisfied, you've just totally been in flow. Think of the last few times and try and remember what was happening. What were you doing? Where were you? Who were you with? What was going on? And then my last question is, what do you care about? What change do you want to see? What change do you want to create? And I always say, we should think of change on many levels. We talk about changing the world, but that's such a big thing, but it always starts, on an individual level. So this might be change in yourself, change in your immediate community, society, environment. Yeah, what are you really passionate about seeing change? Um, And when you've answered all of these questions, look at your responses and identify the common themes and the threads that connect them all. Think of your purpose or your why as how you can bring together all the things that you care about, all the things that are important to you, and all the things that you love to do. How can you bring all those things together and harness them in a way that creates value for others? And that is how you start to craft this thing called your why or your purpose. So as I mentioned before, links to some of the resources that help me, along with a link to a TED Talk by Simon Sinek, author of Start With Why, a book which proposes the reason that why some people and some organizations are more inventive, pioneering, and successful than others, and why they can continue to enjoy repeated success, is because in business, it doesn't matter what you do, it matters why you do it. So there is a link to this and all the other resources in the notes. My free webinar, 5 Steps to Level Up Your Soulful Brand, also has some unorthodox and fun lines of inquiry to help you better articulate what your purpose is, and to kind of help you hone what's special and unique about you. So you can also check that out anytime. The link is also in the notes. I would love questions from you. As usual, if you have any, please drop them in the comments, and I will respond as best as I can. And other than that, please stay tuned for episode 8 next week. And until then, have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone.